2 years, 15 updates, a company price stock drop of 84%, a reduction in content creators, a declining player base, and a company in freefall. Was it worth returning? Let's find out.
Oh, 7, and welcome back to the channel. I'm just Sunny, and my daddy
hated Odyssey.
So, I stopped playing Elite Dangerous 2 years ago with the launch of the latest expansion, Odyssey. The expansion that brought us on-foot combat, on-foot exploration, a chance to see the scale of your ships, a bunch of bugs, and a terrible lunch. It also brought us exobiology. Yeah. I recently returned to the game to see if it was actually worth my time or if the sun had set on Elite Dangerous for good. I went into Odyssey at the launch with a lot of trepidation. The alpha looked terrible, the bugs looked horrendous, the FPS combat looked lacking at best, and the performance looked awful. Sadly, my thoughts were completely validated. With the game moving from alpha direct to launch about 6 weeks later, I became bitter towards FDev, the way they handled it, the way they treat their customers, and honestly, I just fell out of love with Elite, like many commanders out there. So, fast forward 2 years, and I wanted to give this game another look. Was my bitterness clouding my judgment originally? So let's address performance. When the game launched, it was terrible. Planet tech was completely broken. A lot of the planets looked the same, dull, boring, nothing like what they were in Horizons. And sadly, that hasn't changed. However, there have been performance gains made. I used to see horrendous drops going from space with a capped 144 FPS down to 35 FPS and sometimes lower. And I could replicate this just by looking at the same type of rock every single time. But the performance has clearly improved, and the FPS on planets is perfectly stable, perfectly playable now. It's better. I did used to get this bug, and I'm not too sure what was causing it, where every 20 seconds my FPS would drop down to 20 and then go back up to normal. This would happen in the main menus as well. That's disappeared. I don't have that anymore, so that's a big bonus. The FPS in settlements when you were doing ground combat was awful. It was just a mess. I will add that I don't think the performance around the outposts has improved a really big amount. There is improvements there. I'm not going to attest to having done this myself because I'm currently out in the black. However, I have been watching streams and I was seeing some pretty bad drops, particularly around flames. Again, flames still seem to be a big problem. It was improved, just still not what you would expect. Space stations, on the other hand, still questionable. I mean, there's no way I should be getting 60 FPS in Ray Gateway. Or any other station. It just shouldn't happen, and certainly not with the graphics card I've got. Whether that's the same overall for a few other people, I can't attest to that. I say I've not been doing it. FPS combat just isn't for me. If I want to play that, I'm going to go and play Destiny 2 or something. But on the subject of FPS combat, Update 15 did bring some extra stuff. There is now a new mission on foot where you go into a base. There's some floating around enemies that have like a hive mind mentality, so when you get seen, they all basically just go on you and you're pretty much dead. However, it does introduce that stealth aspect to the game, so it kind of gave me a bit Sam Fisher vibes. I'm not sure anyone out there still plays Splinter Cell. It kind of made me feel all Sam Fisher-ish without the goggles, unfortunately. So Update 15, as I've already said, it did bring that new FPS mission. It did drop relatively recently, and there is the Thargoid War ongoing now, but now it seems to have ramped up a little bit. You now get a chance to go into the Maelstrom. You do need an extra piece of equipment. When you go through, you are greeted by a massive, huge mothership. It does look cool as hell. The only part I don't particularly like about that is the fact that you need this caustic something or other to go into the Maelstrom, and there's a little bit of a grind behind that. I'm not a big fan of locking your newest content behind a grind, no matter how small. It's the first new bit of combat people have had for a while, and you're putting it behind a grind. Exploration. So, exploration in Odyssey did bring us on-foot exploration where you can get out your ship, you can get out your SRV, you can go and have a look around on foot, you can truly see the scale of your ships. And my lord, some of these things are massive. They are huge. And it was really quite impressive to see what that looked like. However, it didn't really bring much else in the way of exploration other than exobiology, which is the aspect of the game I'm currently doing, where I'm finding high metal content worlds and then scanning, making some money, flying off. Cheers, Hawks. I'm really enjoying it. When you land on a planet that has an atmosphere, some of these views that I'm getting are amazing. However, if you've done this game loop to death and you are looking for something new from exploration and you've already been out and tried exobiology, there's nothing else here for you, unfortunately. So the future of Elite Dangerous. I'd find it hard to believe that they're not going to continue the Thargoid War on foot alien combat at some point. It does seem like they're ramping this up to be something else. Obviously, you've got the mothership. I'm pretty sure that'll do something. I hope they continue down this community goal route with the Thargoid stuff in mind. It's not really my cup of tea. But for those who are into it, then great. You've got a lot of, well, not a lot. You've got some content coming your way. Personally, I'd like to see updates to exobiology and exploration. I think it's been very stagnant for a while now, particularly exploration. That to me is one of the most lacking aspects of the game. Spaceship combat hasn't changed, the mining hasn't changed, still atmospheric as all hell. But for exploration, so many commanders out there like to go exploring into the back, be on their own. You had the whole distant world things that was happening. Now they've stopped as well now. Now I have found a couple of bugs. For some reason, the game just randomly forgets that I have a HOTAS. This can happen after a couple of plays. It also happened the other day where I had a bug where I couldn't see who had discovered a planet. I logged out to try and get rid of that bug, logged back in, HOTAS gone. Now annoyingly, I just set that HOTAS up for that play session I was doing. But ultimately, for me, I'm still playing like I was in Horizons. I'm not really doing much on foot, other than the exobiology. So, was it worth it? Yeah, I think so. For me, I thought it was worth coming back to Elite. I've really enjoyed the time that I've been playing with it, and I don't regret it. I'm actually really enjoying the bits I'm doing. Let me know in the comments below. Are you going to give FDev another shot? Are you going to give Elite another try? Or is it game over for you and you're just done? Drop me a comment, let me know. Now, if you've made it this far in the video, you clearly liked it. So maybe give it a thumbs up, drop a sub, maybe? I mean, it's free, after all. That's the wrong way to wink. There we go. So I've been Just Dave, reminding you all to stay elite and stay dangerous.
4, 3, 2,